Hello, freshmen. Today we're going to be talking about how to read a nonfiction article and be able to choose important details, identify main ideas, and then write an objective summary. This is a skill that is going to be absolutely imperative for you to have in high school and beyond. Many teachers will ask you to write a summary of a text that looks at important details and asks you to identify main ideas. So we're going to show you a really simple, easy way to do that. So today I have an article, a non-fiction article. So a non-fake, real people, real life events. This is from a website, the Daily Caller. Notice the headline, author, and some of the factual details. So here we go. Back to school. High school teacher shows up on first day drunk, comma, big letters, without pants. Yes, and I'd like to clarify, I am not related to this person. Excellent. With that in mind, let's go ahead and read this article. A rural Oklahoma high school teacher got to the school year started off in a less than ideal way when police say she showed up on her first day of work drunk and wearing no pants. The teacher is a 49-year-old Lori Ann Hill, the Tulsa World reports. The incident occurred on Monday at Wagner High School about 40 miles east of Tulsa. The school officials notified police around 9 a.m. after two other teachers found Hill in a D-pants state in a classroom she claimed was her own. She found Hill in a room kind of disoriented, local police chief Bob Haley told the World. By the time we got there, she was in a room and wearing shorts. Police officers spoke with Hill, who admitted that she was under the influence of alcohol. Investigating officers discovered an empty cup in her vehicle that smelled of vodka, according to the Tulsa Fox affiliate KOKI. When officers interviewed her, she did admit to having some vodka yesterday morning before she came to school, Haley explained, according to the CBS Houston. Despite the admission, police said that they do not think that they have enough evidence for a drinking and driving conviction because there are no witnesses that saw her drinking and driving. Hill is a new teacher in the district this year. Like all teachers at Wagner High, she was reporting for duty on the first day for school employees. The teachers who found Hill in the classroom did not know her. Classes begin for local students on Thursday. Police booked Hill on a charge of public intoxication. She was arraigned and released from jail on Tuesday night. School district officials refused to comment on their pantsless employee, calling the matter a personnel issue. Some local parents were disturbed about the strange incident. I don't know. As an adult, I just don't know how you can be a professional teacher and teaching young people and then show up drunk, said Frank Sandiford, the parent of a Wagner High student, according to KOKI. So here's the article, again, a nonfiction piece about a teacher in rural Oklahoma. So with that, what we want to show you is how, if I were to ask you to identify the important details, tell me the main ideas, and then write an objective summary, how might you go about that? Well, there's a really easy way. So what I got here is just a nice piece of blank paper, and I'm going to set up some two-column notes. So what you end up doing is kind of making a column on your right that is really big, and then a shorter column on the left-hand side. What we're going to do is we're going to identify some important details here on the right, and then we're going to do main ideas here on the left, okay? The first thing that you want to do is just start out with some important details along the way. You do need to use your article. So what I like to do is just kind of chunk it. Like I would look at the first sentence, maybe like the first few sentences here, and try to figure out like what's the most important information. So what I've done here is going back to my notes, you can see that then I listed some of the important details on the right-hand side. So I went through and I looked at each of the important things that the article talked about. So I read it just in chunks, and then I went back and I just listed all of the important details. And sometimes if you think it's important, write it. And try and put it in your own words over here. So I went back to my article and I read it, and then I would go to my notes and I would just kind of write some of the things that they went over. So the very beginning said that the teacher in Oklahoma shows up her first day without pants and drunk. They said she was 49 years old, what her name was, the day she showed up, and where that was. They said it was like 30 miles east of Tulsa or something. So then I just kept going and I listed and said these lines weren't there. So I just kept listing important details along the way. Once I have gone through the entire article and I just wrote down some of the details that happened throughout the article, then what I can do is I can start chunking those. So here you'll notice how I chunked those. So they were all listed, and then I come back and say, all right, how are these things all similar? How can I chunk them according to like the information that is similar? So here I noticed that at the very beginning they just kind of gave an overview of what happened. Then they said kind of who did what, when, where, and then I don't know if there is necessarily a why somebody would go to school drunk, but that's a biggie. Okay, so with that, I kind of noticed that this went over just kind of the basic 5 W's of the entire article. So then I kind of chunked that information together. The second piece is I went through and I looked and I was kind of looking for like repetitive information. And these two teachers found her without pants in the classroom, and then they called the police. So I've kind of felt like all of these details kind of went together because it was all about when the police were called in the incident. So then I kind of, over here, I titled the main idea that the police respond to the teacher drunk without pants, and kind of like the police officer's account of what had happened. Okay. Then lastly, I noticed that then police couldn't convict her. Hill was a new teacher. Well, these all kind of go together. These were similar, so then I put that line here to chunk all of these police details together. And then it started talking about Hill was a new teacher, how she was reporting to her first day for employees, and that she was convicted of public intoxication and released from jail. This seemed to kind of be all about Hill and what she was doing, how she was a teacher, she was reporting for duty, and then she was released from jail. So then I put kind of Hill's background and conviction, what ended up happening to Hill. Okay. Again, no relation. Okay. Then lastly, there was only one last detail at the end where the school said it was a personnel issue and parents were disturbed. It talked about a quote then from a parent who said they should act professionally. I think overall parents were disturbed. Okay. So I chunked that then together and just said like what was the public's reaction to Hill showing up drunk. So now that I started off just listing all of my details, then I chunked the similar information, and then I can go back and kind of decide what makes this, what are they kind of addressing in this section. Again, 5 W's, police's response, Hill's conviction, and then the public reaction to this incident. So with an objective summary, going back to our objective, we want to be able to write an objective summary of the text. Objective means factual. There is no opinion whatsoever in the summary. Yes, we disagree with what Hill did, but we don't need to include that in an objective summary. We just need to restate the main ideas. So on that then is when you kind of go to the back, or if you had room on your notes, I write really big. But on the back then I'm going to go ahead and use my main ideas to write an objective summary. And in my objective summary I'm going to include the 5 W's. So the who, did what, when, where, and why, how the police responded, what ended up happening to her, and then what the public's response was. So I'm going to use my main ideas really to help me write that paragraph. So I think it's really important, your first sentence, really to have those main ideas. Let's say new teacher, Lori Ann Hill shows up to her first day of duty drunk and without pants in, let's see, new teacher Lori Ann Hill shows up to her first day of duty drunk and without pants at Wagner High School. Wagner High School in or near Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I got my who, did what. I didn't include the when. Oh yeah, the first day of school. So the when and the where, the who, did what, when and where. So I kind of include my 5 W's in that very first sentence. And then I would go ahead and talk about the police then, because I had my 5 W's and then I have my police response. And I'm going to use those facts from the article. So then I say, police responded after 2 teachers found her drunk in a classroom. And then I would say police, and I'm going to go back to my details again. So she admitted to it, and then police were now able to convict her of drinking and driving. So police convicted her of public intoxication, but were unable to convict her of drinking and driving. And I'm not going to use a comma here because there's not a subject. There's just a verb. So, but were unable to convict her of drinking and driving. Hill admitted to drinking vodka. So I had kind of the police response, which was a big idea. And then the next one is kind of what ended up happening to her and what was going on. I said that she was a new teacher on the first day of school, so I don't think I need to include that down here. So I'm going to go ahead and just say that then she was convicted and then released from jail. So then she admitted to drinking vodka. She was later released from jail. Okay, and then down here, what the public's reaction was is my last detail. So then I'm going to say, overall, the public reacted. Well, the parents were disturbed. The school wouldn't comment. So I'm going to say, overall, the public reacted. The public seemed disturbed. Overall, the public seemed disturbed, while the school would not comment on the personnel issue. And it's a good idea whenever you're using exact words from the text to put quotes around it, because they did say it was a personnel issue. So I would put quotes around that because it was taken from the text. And then lastly, I just have to kind of restate the main ideas. So our 5 W's, like what happened, the police responded, she was released from jail, and then the public's reaction. We want to try and capture that again in one sentence and wrap it all up.